You have some people that are growing in the wine business with the non-alcoholic or low alcoholic better for you category. I think that they're tapping into a consumer demographic that is seeking a healthier alternative to what they perceive as maybe less healthy. If we're looking to be optimistic and we're looking to grow the industry, I think we have to embrace what the consumer is looking for versus what we traditionally have made.
Hey folks, this is Sid Patel, CEO of Beverage Trade Network and the International Bulk Wine and Spirits Show. I'm here with Steve Dorfman from Ciatti, one of the leading experts and the biggest wine broker company in the world. We're going to touch base from Steve on what's really going on at this moment, in the bulk wine market, and especially with tariffs and supply chain disruptions. What is Ciatti seeing? Steve, thanks for joining me here.
Good to see you.
So let me continue that question, right? What are you seeing? If there was a highlight that you can give to all of us on what's your observation right now?
Well, I'm not sure whether there's highlights. There might be lowlights, but it's very slow. The bulk market is extremely slow. There's a lot of trepidation in the market and concern with things. There are pockets of activity, I would say. Something like Chile, because of their short crop, that's caused prices to go up and people to be kind of clamoring for their wines. But that was, the crop was short in general, but they also pulled out a lot of vines. So, and then you see in places like Australia, there's more activity because China is back in and buying. So it's slow in general, though.
Why is it slow in general? Is it because of the crop harvest, or is it something else?
I think people aren't drinking enough
So
or as much.
demand overall.
Demand is down, and I think that's a global phenomenon. There's been a lot of negativity, although I did see an article today in Wine Searcher that talked from a UK study from 2006 to 2010 about some very positive notes about sudden cardiac death and the benefits of wine. So it's a nice positive medical article considering we've been getting raked over the coals in recent months.
But this is a tough one. I mean, if the macro demand itself from the end consumer is consistently. I mean, we've seen it, right? We're being optimistic, but it's just not happening. I mean, what should be the play? I think people are, as we've seen in California, they're just planting less and
Yeah,
destroying vineyards.
yeah, exactly. I think all over the world we're pulling out vineyards that, in a sense, we're trying to right size the industry,
Wow.
and kind of be there. Same thing in beer and spirits. Just we're drinking less as a society. I think that the baby boomers are all aging out, so to speak, as you sit here with one in front of you, and so we're drinking less, and then we check out eventually, and the next generation may not be drinking as much of the same things we drank. Okay, so maybe the fighting varietals and the things that we drank in the 90s and 2000s are now in a sense, your father's Oldsmobile. And so I just think that there's a more health conscious group out there. And we also, as a wine industry, we kind of hung our hat on health benefits of wine. And so now with the negativity around alcohol, we're going to suffer a little bit harder until we kind of right size the industry.
That's a tough one for anyone to navigate, right? Like it's just they've seen the good years and now it's just resizing and then optimizing the next.
Yeah, in any industry and at any point, there will be winners and losers in this, but I don't think we're going to stop drinking completely. We've been drinking wine for 5,000 years, and there's a reason for that somewhere along the line. But I don't think this is necessarily a cyclical thing. I think there's more of a reset that we're getting. We're not just going to have an up and down and come back to some kind of equilibrium that we were at. So if 5 years ago we thought maybe the new normal for California harvest was going to be about 4.2 million tons, and we could be about 2.8 to 3 million tons being the norm for the
Wow.
future. So, like I said, it's more of a reset and a right sizing of the industry.
Hope that should not happen because everyone has ambitions. Everyone is, you and me included, like everyone's in this business. And every day we all think that how do we grow more, right? So we don't think that, okay, I've decided to not grow and it's going to be
Right.
like this, right? So either you completely change different business models or you go into a different venture. Are you seeing those kind of shifts happening? Like, are you seeing wine owners or big CEOs thinking about completely different industry?
I don't know whether it's completely different industry. Certainly, they are moving that some companies have entered into different beverage alcohol space, whether that's wineries that have engaged in spirit space, or whether there's been spirits companies that have, engaged in other avenues of beverages. There's shifts to RTDs versus regular traditional outlooks. So I think people will continue to consume. I just think it may be in a different format than we had structured over the last 30 years.
Do you think it's more of US, Europe, UK sort of issue, or have you seen this in like countries like China, India, Brazil? Because personally, I don't think they're drinking. I still think, th that market is very different. Do you see that as a ray of hope,
Well,
or it's
we have seen China drop significantly in
but
the
not
amount
because of
of
the consumer shift, right? It's because overall the money is less. I mean, the spending is
well,
less.
the money's less, the spending's less, but ultimately the question is, will the consumer come back if the money comes back? So that I read an article today that Russia is even seeing a reduction in consumption, and I just think that there are other choices for people out there,
Mm,
whether that's kombucha or mushrooms, beverages or things, and we've really expanded the offerings in wine so much that I think we've confused the consumer in a lot of ways. And so by having a plethora of choices, they then move from one thing to the other. And when we haven't really bred a tremendous amount of loyalty towards any one beverage. So if choices are out there, I think you see that in the on-premise market. I think you see it in the off-premise market. Then the question is, how much are they drinking at home?
let's be a little optimist here, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
the wineries or the companies that are growing in wine category, why do you think they are still growing?
You have some people that are growing in the wine business with the non-alcoholic or low alcoholic, better for you category. Let's just say that. I think that they're tapping into a consumer demographic that is seeking a healthier alternative to what they perceive as maybe less healthy. And then you have certain demographics that are engaged with a brand like XXL, which kind of came up in recent times, which is a higher alcohol flavored product, which is good for the wine industry to engage in some flavored products. Sometimes I think we're a little precious about the product and say it's just wine, but when the consumer is looking for wine with peach flavor or wine with berry flavor or something like that, why are we not giving that to them? Right? Other beverages do that all the time. So why is that? If we're looking to be optimistic and we're looking to grow the industry, I think we have to embrace what the consumer is looking for versus what we traditionally have made.
Hmm.
Secondly, I would add sizes, outlooks, packaging. If we're putting in the optimistic thing on there, the 3 liter bag and box is that consumer has grown up with wine a little more. They drink wine every day, um, but the 5 liter bag and box is waning because that consumer was an older consumer and they're fading away. So 3 liter is the new 5 liter, let's just say, probably with better quality,
Hmm.
I would say. But the people still like to drink wine every day, want to have that in the refrigerator without opening a bunch of bottles. I think there's still the group of people that will continue to drink wine, higher price point wine. Well, let's put it that way. They like the quality, they like the image, the things that go. And so I think you will always have pockets of success. I just think overall we're going to be drinking less.
One last question, Steve, on the bulk wine for the US market. Any category or any style of buyers that you think are growing, which you still see a demand and they're buying?
The 3 liter bag and box, the larger, a little larger format, those guys are still buying. They tend to be global buyers as well, because there is some price sensitivity to go around that. However, I do think that those categories continue to grow. I think the alternative packaging, the next iteration of the paper bottle works, but that seems to be very positive at the moment. Things like Tetra or other more convenient, environmentally sensitive packaging is good. And that's another area that I would say that we continue to grow in is the organics, the sustainable, the better for you categories are good categories and ones that people are very authentic in their approach, with some of the regenerative farming and some of the brands that are coming on that. And I hope we continue to embrace that in California, as they have been doing in places like France, etc.
Super. Steve, any closing remarks, for the bulk community on how to stay on course and what to do?
Look, I think that I would be cautious. I think we're still in that cautious time until we get into that right-sized industry. I don't think making bulk wine for sale on a speculative basis, from our perspective at Ciatti, is advisable at this moment. And then I would say to continue to be innovative, whether that's in the healthier for you, low alcohol space, or in the higher alcohol, flavored product space. I think the consumer's asking for different products, and we should continue to embrace them.